What's good, fam? It's Cess Talk Sports in collaboration with BY's PoliSports Tea Time, where hoop meets the hard truths behind highlight reels. I'm your host, Cess, pulling up with my co-architect and truth-telling political Lil, and today, we're not here for the fluff. This one right here is urgent, it's raw, and it's necessary. We ain't just talking basketball, we exposing the propaganda machine operating inside the WNBA. This episode is titled Sports Propaganda, Engineering Consent in the Racialized World of Sports. Yeah, we said it, and we mean every syllable. Say it with the claps. Let's be real. Let's be real. What we're witnessing isn't just a little PR fumble or another media oversight. This is a calculated strategy, a coordinated campaign, a whole damn playbook of erasure, distraction, and repackaging crafted to undermine black excellence while elevating whiteness as the default, even in a league built by black women on and off the court. The same WNBA that stood on the shoulders of unapologetically black leaders is now shifting to appease white grievance politics, chasing fans that never showed up, never invested, and never wanted this league to exist in the first place. And with that 2026 CBA looming, best believe this isn't accidental. It's business, it's branding, and it's betrayal. We're talking GMs and execs pushing a player-led survey weaponized as a PR tool. Media companies complicit in rewriting who's the face of the league. And all of it designed to silence, sideline, and sanitize the real architects of this game. Veteran black players who've earned everything but are being erased from marketable narratives. Today we call it what it is, propaganda. And to break it all the way down, we're drawing from the blueprint of Edward Bernays, the so-called father of PR, who taught the elite how to mold mass opinion through manipulation, spectacle, and selective storytelling. We're also bringing in the brilliance of Tom Burrell, author of Brainwashed, who breaks down how anti-black narratives get embedded in everything from commercials to coverage. What they expose is exactly what we're seeing unfold in real time. So sit with this, fam. Let it hit. Because the 2025 season isn't just tip-offs and jump shots. It's battleground, a takeover, a live-action erasure of black labor, culture, and power dressed up as progress. This ain't no accident. This is strategy. This is your warning. This is your briefing. This is your invite to pull up, get informed, and stay 10 toes down in the fight for equity, truth, and visibility in sports. We talking legacy. We talking justice. We talking truth. Let's get into it.
Thank you, Auntie Cess. And let me say this. Propaganda doesn't just tell lies. It tells stories with a purpose. And in the WNBA, that purpose is crystal clear. The recent GM survey released by ESPN just days before the season opener wasn't just a list of opinions. It was a calculated messaging campaign. It was an erasure manual disguised as marketing. With a league built on the back of black women, players who have not only performed at elite levels, but have carried the culture and political soul of the WNBA. We now see those same women being sidelined for a carefully curated, sanitized image of whiteness and foreignness. It's not coincidental that during the time of increased labor consciousness and rising player activism, the league is working overtime to reposition itself. By elevating Caitlin Clark as the league's face, not through her performance, but through orchestrated media saturation and disproportionate corporate backing, the league is engineering a new public image, one meant to erase the current leadership of black athletes, diminish their marketability, and weaken their collective bargaining power ahead of the next contract fight. We will walk through how this propaganda functions, how league executive, team GMs, media conglomerates, and marketing firms are working in unison to shift power away from the core of black excellence. We will expose how this manipulation of public opinion is not accidental, but rather strategic, rooted in old Bernays tactics of repetition, authority, emotional appeal, and the illusion of consciousness. And just as important, we'll talk about what fans, media, watchdog, and players themselves can do to disrupt these patterns and reclaim the narrative. But at the end of the day, propaganda only works when it goes unchallenged. So today we speak, we name names, we connect dots, and we remind everyone listening, black women built this league, and they're not going anywhere.
Now, don't get it twisted. Propaganda ain't just some Cold War playbook or government brainwashing tactic. Nah, it's deeper than that. It's a system, a method, a strategic way to shape what people think, feel, and believe, all while making them think it was their idea the whole time. Edward Bernays, the so-called father of PR and nephew of Sigmund Freud, laid the blueprint in his book Propaganda. He said the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Translation: manipulation ain't a bug in the system, it's the feature that keeps power in the hands of the few. Now let's bring that to the court. In sports, propaganda shows up loud and clear when leagues, networks, and brands decide who gets love and who gets left behind. It's the reason one player becomes America's sweetheart, while another, just as talented, just as decorated, gets painted as hard to market, too aggressive, or flat out ignored. It ain't just about performance, it's about politics, it's about perception. It's about keeping the power structure intact while selling the illusion of fairness and merit. You feel me? When media crafts narratives around convenience instead of credentials, when shoe deals, camera time, and who's mic'd up aren't about greatness but about who's palatable to certain fan bases, that's sports propaganda. When highlight reels keep featuring one name while burying another, that's propaganda. When a rookie gets compared to legends before she's even logged real mileage, while veteran black stars get erased in real time, propaganda. The goal ain't just to sell you a lie, it's to build a myth that overrides the stats, the resumes, the receipts. It tells you who to cheer, who to fear, and who to forget. And that myth ain't accidental, it's manufactured. This is about control. Control over the story, control over the labor, control over the legacy. Now let's be clear. When that system is layered with race, when black women build the league, but white women get handed the spotlight, this ain't just media spin. It's cultural warfare. It's coordinated. It's calculated. And if you ain't questioning it, you're consuming it. Let's wake it all the way up. This is BY's PoliSports podcast, Assess Talk Sports. We name it, we break it, and we don't play about it.
That's the real breakdown right there, Seth. Let me build on it by saying this. Propaganda is not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. It shows up in silence and what goes unacknowledged. It's how a player like Aja Wilson, who has won championship, MVPs, and led her team with dignity and dominance, is barely a household name outside the women's basketball circle, while a rookie is getting magazine cover, presidential tweets, and constant coverage for simply showing up. Now, propaganda isn't just about shaping external opinions. It's also about reshaping how people see them. And that's where the genius of Tom Burrell's work in Brainwashed comes in. Burrell argues that mass media, especially in America, has historically been used to condition both white and black people to see blackness as inferior, less worthy, less beautiful, less intelligent, less capable. And when you combine that legacy with the sports industry obsession with white marketability, what you get is a system that not only lifts up white athletes as a safe face for the league, but actively discourages black athletes from even believing they're supposed to be there. So propaganda in this case does double damage. It uplifts through illusion while it erases through silence. And the scary part, the public eats it up because it's packaged through their favorite sport. It's entertaining. It feels good. It feels familiar. But it's not true. It's not equity. And it certainly is not justice. And here's where it gets political. These narratives are emerging at the exact moment when the WNBA players, led overwhelmingly by black women, are entering into a new era of labor consciousness, visibility, and demand. The propaganda isn't just trying to rewrite stories. It's trying to preempt a movement. It's trying to divide the fan base, to fracture solidarity, to plant the seeds of Caitlyn versus Angel, rookies versus vets, white savior versus black attitude, so that when the players come to the table for the next CBA, the public won't be rooting for the ones who built the league. They'll be rooting for the ones the league chooses. That's the power of propaganda. But that's also why we're here, because awareness is the first weapon against it.
All right, let's talk about the architects behind the illusion. Because propaganda don't just float in the air like bad takes on First Take. It's built, crafted, funded, intentional. So when we ask who's behind sports propaganda, we ain't talking boogeymen or conspiracy ghosts. We talking real institutions, real gatekeepers, and real people who control the entire sports narrative pipeline, from what gets said to how it's said to who it benefits. Let's start with the usual suspects. Media conglomerates, ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS, the big dogs. They don't just report on sports, they shape it. They create stars, manufacture drama, push narratives, and they decide with precision who gets primetime love and who barely gets any shine. When white athletes get wall-to-wall coverage fresh out the draft, that ain't neutral journalism. That's marketing. That's politics. That's propaganda wrapped in highlight reels. Meanwhile, black athletes, especially bold, vocal, decorated black women, get filtered through a different lens, if they even make the screen at all. Let's talk receipts. ESPN's WNBA GM survey right before the season opener. Yeah, that wasn't accidental. That was strategic spin. They dropped a so-called survey that barely acknowledged the vets who've actually built this league. They buried Asia, omitted Chelsea, glazed over John Quill, and they handed the crown to Caitlin Clark before the season even started. Second year in the league, no playoff wins, but somehow most likely MVP. Make it make sense. Better yet, don't. Because it was never about sense. It was about control. The survey wasn't just lazy coverage. It was a message from ESPN, from execs, from league insiders, from the folks trying to rebrand the W to fit a new audience, conservative, white, male sports fans. And what does that rebrand look like? White, marketable faces, less cultural disruption, a league product scrubbed clean of its unapologetically black roots. So now we're watching blackness get strategically muted, right as the new CBA looms. Right as players are gearing up to demand equity, ownership, and visibility. This ain't about growing the game. It's about shifting power. It's about flipping the script just enough to make the league profitable to people who never respected it when black women were front and center. And the W ain't innocent in this. The league office, deep in the mix. They got expansion plans, corporate checks to cash, and a new demo to impress. So yeah, they're co-signing this whole propaganda rollout like it's a marketing campaign. Because it is. So don't let the smoke fool you. The cameras don't just capture moments, they create agendas. And over here at BY's PoliSports Podcast and Cess Talk Sports, we're calling it exactly what it is.
That's real, Cess. And we can't let them off the hook without addressing corporate sponsors. These companies, Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, Adidas, they decide who is marketable. And they tend to pick the safe ones, the ones who smile and don't speak too loud about race, gender, or labor rights. Sponsors reinforce the propaganda by financially rewarding the athletes who fit the narrative and punishing those who disrupt it. You think it's an accident that Angel Reese and Aja Wilson are pulling millions in outside brand business deals, but the league itself is barely lifting a finger to boost their visibility? No, because their image doesn't fit the new control script. They're powerful, political, and unapologetically black. So instead, we get over-marketed Caitlin Clark, positioned as savior, while those who built the league are suddenly pushed out of the spotlight. Let's also call out commentators and analysts. The language they use is propaganda too. When black athletes are called explosive, physical, or intimidating, but white players are labeled cerebral, savvy, and high IQ, that's not coincidental. It's coded messaging. It shapes the public opinion and reinforces the false ideal that successful black players is based on raw talent, while successful white players is based on hard work or strategy. That's the oldest trick in the propaganda book. It's how you reframe excellence to elevate one group while diminishing another, without ever saying it outright. And here's the kicker. The fans are not innocent. Fans regurgitate this propaganda in tweets, YouTube comments, Reddit threads, and sports bars across the country. They become micro propagandists, parroting whatever ESPN or TikTok told them about who's good, who's arrogant, who's the future, and who's the problem. And because social media moves fast, these narratives go viral before truth has a chance to breathe. So when we talk about propaganda in sports, we're talking about a vertical system of influence. It starts at the top with media and money, moves through the league and their executives, get repeated by analysts and commentators, and finally lands in the hands of fans who unknowingly become soldiers for someone else's agenda. And in 2025, the WNBA is making its move. The league office is trying to pivot away from black women who made the W what it is to a league that courts whiteness, conservatism, and corporate control. And the only way they do that is by rewriting the story, diminishing black greatness, and casting new characters who look a lot more familiar to white America.
Propaganda isn't just about what's said, it's about what's constructed. It's about repetition, framing, emotional manipulation, and erasure. To understand how sports propaganda works, you got to study its mechanics. This is psychological warfare disguised as marketing and entertainment. And nobody laid it out better than Edward Bernays, the so-called father of public relations. In his 1928 classic Propaganda, Bernays writes, The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. In other words, your opinions can be engineered. In sports, this happens through a four-part cycle: selection, amplification, repetition, and erasure. Selection is about choosing which athletes and stories get airtime. Amplification turns those chosen into stars with media saturation and glowing language. Repetition embeds those narratives in the minds of fans and the broader public. Erasure works to silence or minimize alternative stories, especially when they center marginalized players. Now let's apply that to the WNBA right now. The WNBA league office and its media partners have selected Caitlin Clark as the story, not Asia Wilson, a three-time league MVP, two-time champion and defensive player of the year, not Chelsea Gray, a three-time champion and the finals MVP, not Jonquel Jones, a champion and former MVP and double-double machine, not Kalia Copper, not even the defending champ New York Liberty. Why? Because Caitlin is the prototype they've been waiting for. White, Midwestern, humble, relatable. She's marketable to a new fan base. White conservative men, casual NBA bros, and corporate brands who want the look of progress without the messiness of race or gender politics. Then comes amplification. She's on every promo, every camera, every highlight reel. The ESPN homepage has practically become a Caitlin Clark fan site. Her jersey sales promoted, her WNBA debut blown up, covered like it's a national holiday. Meanwhile, the veteran black women in this league left in the shadows, unless it shows them getting dunked on by the narrative. Now comes repetition. This is where the engineering happens. Through constant coverage, reposted clips, tweets from official WNBA pages, and talking points from commentators, the league hammers home. She's the future. She's transcended. She's revolutionizing the game. This isn't organic hype. It's a campaign. One that's so thick it's hard to breathe anything else. And lastly, erasure. Black players are being actively written out of their own league story, even when they dominate, even when they're championship tested. Their brilliance is reframed as intimidating or emotional. Their leadership gets ignored, and their cultural impact, what has literally kept the W alive, is treated as an afterthought. Erasure isn't just silence, it's displacement. It's when someone walks into a room you built and suddenly acts like it's theirs.
And let's be very clear. This is not just bad marketing. It's a strategic political tactic. This is how the league is heading into collective bargaining agreement negotiations. They know that the black women who make up the vast majority of the league, especially the leadership core, are going to demand higher pay, better conditions, player equity, more control over branding, and a greater diversity in ownership and front office representation. And the league, instead of addressing these demands honestly, they're engineering a shift to dilute black power before the bargaining even begins. It's chess, not checkers. So what do? You roll out the new face of the league, one that doesn't challenge the status quo, one that appeals to fans who've never cared about the WNBA until it looked like them. You hire more white and international coaches. You structure rosters with fewer African-American players. You leak a shady GM survey that throws flowers at Caitlin Clark and shadows over veterans. And you let the media do the rest. The result? A fan base that sees black women as entitled, jealous, and replaceable, instead of the architects of this league's success. This is Bernays 101. It's also Tom Burrell in Brainwashed, challenging the myth of black inferiority. Burrell reminds us that the media propaganda isn't just about controlling opinions, it's about shaping identity, about convincing us and the world that black greatness must always be viewed with suspicion or stripped down to nothing but raw athleticism, while white mediocrity, that gets to be the exception. The WNBA is at a crossroads, y'all, and we're watching it in real time, a rollout of a propaganda campaign designed to undermine black women on the court, in the media, and at the negotiating table. But now that we've broken it down, it's time to talk strategy.
This ain't just about a game. This is about power, perception, and possession. The WNBA propaganda machine is moving full speed ahead, but we've got tools, truth, and tech. And most importantly, we got people. The same people they've underestimated, sidelined, and tried to manipulate. But fans are not powerless bystanders. We're the fuel that makes this engine run. And it's time to cut the gas off when it's burning us down. So let's get tactical, because this is not about a moment, it's a movement. Number one, media literacy. Learn to decode the lies. We got to train ourselves and each other to see the playbook. Every time you turn on ESPN or scroll through WNBA Twitter, ask who's being centered, who's being erased, what images are being pushed, what type of black player is allowed to shine, and which ones are not. This is what propaganda does. It manufactures consent. You can't just be entertained. You got to be aware. Encourage your friends, your fam, and especially young athletes to question why the media keeps telling them the same old stories. When you develop a critical eye, the narrative starts to crack. Number 2, support independent media. We are the platform. This is why Cess Talk Sports and BY's PoliSports Tea Time exists. Because we know mainstream sports media is not designed for truth. It's designed for control. Independent media, black-led podcasts, fan-created platforms, YouTube shows, and newsletters run by folks in the community are the new truth tellers. If you want to change the narrative, support the storytellers who aren't afraid to name names and push back. Amplify those voices. Share those episodes. Put your time and money behind the truth, not the spin. Number 3, call out the bias. Clap back with facts. Every time you see the Caitlin Clark highlight package with no mentions of Asia Wilson's 30-point game, say something. When that ESPN panel praises white players but forgets the black vets who built the league, tag them. When the commentator uses high IQ for a white player and athleticism for a black one, call it. Call it out. This ain't whining. This is warfare against erasure. Use your platforms, Twitter, IG, TikTok, group chats, to disrupt their narrative and demand better. The more we disrupt the programming, the more they realize we see the strings behind the puppet show. Number 4, shift the economy. Power in the purse. Listen, money talks. If you want to make them uncomfortable, stop feeding the machine. Support players with brands that actually respect their identity, politics, and humanity. Buy the merch of players on their sites who speak truth, show up for black communities, and challenge the league's bias. And let me be clear, you can absolutely boycott media platforms and sponsors who pander to white fragility while erasing black excellence. If they don't support us, why support them? Number 5, educate and organize. Build movement, not just moments. Start combos in your community. Host digital panels. Write op-eds. Do live podcast Q&As. Reach out to schools, youth teams, and athletic departments. Talk to young girls who are watching the league and let them know you are worthy, you are brilliant, and you do not need to be whitewashed to be marketable. The fight against sports propaganda doesn't end on the mic. It's in the stands, the schools, the Twitter threads, and the group chats. It's in every conversation we have that says, we see what y'all doing, and we're not buying into it anymore.
This is about liberation media. This is about being unbossed, and unbothered by the fear of telling the truth. We know what this league is trying to do. And the fans who built it, the players who carried it, and the people who preserved it through the drought years, we're the real ones, the heartbeat. And we're not going to be silent anymore. So let's go. Let's organize, let's build, let's educate. And let's dismantle this rigged machine until black women in sports are no longer an afterthought, but the center of the damn story. Let's talk about what it really means to survive in a system that doesn't see your full self. For black athletes, especially black women, this game, this business of sports, ain't just about competition. It's about survival. It's about carving out dignity in a structure that's been designed to exploit your labor, monetize your image, and then strip you of agency once you no longer serve their agenda. In a racialized sport market, black athletes aren't nurtured as brands the way their white counterparts are. They're used as workers, silent producers, high output machines. They're not marketed with nuances, with storylines and emotional arcs. They're marketed through power, aggression, performance, until that power becomes threatening, and then the system flips. They're not seen as intellectuals. They're not framed as strategists. They're not cast as cultural or corporate leaders. Even when black women speak out, like Aja Wilson using her platform to challenge media bias, or Nafia Collier co-creating a league for economic liberation, it's often met with indifference from the league office and silence from the mainstream media. And when they show passion, it's weaponized. When Caitlin Clark screams out the big shot, she's competitive. When Angel Reese or Arike Mumbawali do it, they're classless, arrogant, and too much. The double standard is suffocating. These are microaggressions wrapped in million-dollar narratives designed to push a very clear message. Black women are allowed to dominate only if they stay quiet about it. So they end up navigating a minefield, unequal media coverage, biased officiating, limited endorsement deals, and now a league-wide effort to push them out the spotlight they built, just as the CBA negotiations approach, just as financial leverage is on the line, just as equity should be finally being honored. These players survive by being 5 times as good and get half the recognition. They become businesswomen, cultural icons, community advocates, not because the system supports them, but because they refuse to disappear.
And this ain't just systemic, it's strategic. These microaggressions, these economic chokeholds, this silence in marketing campaigns, this is manufactured invisibility. A deliberate operation to reduce the bargaining power of black players, especially now when they're gaining ground in branding media and ownership. You look at the WNBA right now, and you see it plain as day. White rookies being promoted as the new faces of the league, while veterans like Chelsea Gray, Jonquel Jones, and even reigning MVPs like A'ja Wilson are treated like background noise. That's not accidental. That's a labor suppression tactic. Black players aren't just athletes, they're laborers in a rigged economy. In the league, the owners, the media execs, they know the visibility is capital. So what do? They flood the zone with white faces, Euro players, and narrative designed to pull attention and dollars away from the very women who carried this league through its leanest years. This ain't new. This is the same playbook used in every labor system rooted in white supremacy. Let them work, let them entertain, but keep them out the boardroom, out of the narrative, and out of the CBA talks for real power. But here's what they didn't plan for. We see it, and we're saying it. And we're building platforms just like this one to shift the spotlight back where it belongs. So when we talk about survival in the racialized sports labor market, we're not just talking about existing, we're talking about fighting back with truth, strategy, and unity. All right, now, let's bring this all home. If you've been listening and you fired up like we are, then understand, this ain't just about what's happening in the WNBA. This is about how power operates. It's about how institutions silence, erase, and minimize the people who built the culture but get none of the credit. It's about how propaganda gets dressed up as sports coverage, marketing strategy, and fan engagement. But we're not helpless. We're not powerless. We are the economy. We are the culture. And if we act collectively, strategically, and intentionally, we can flip this whole script. So here's our playbook. Number 1, become media literate. Every time you see a headline or a social media post, ask, who benefits from this narrative? Who is being erased? Stop consuming media blindly. If you're following ESPN, Fox, or any of those networks, watch what they're not saying. Pay attention to the patterns, the omissions, the coded language. They're not just reporting, they're engineering consent. Number 2, support independent media. You're already doing it by being here listening to Cess Talk Sports, B-Wise, PoliSports, Tea Time podcast. These are spaces where black women in sports are centered, not tokenized. Find more, share them, fund them. Don't just repost, amplify. We don't need a seat at their table. We're building our own damn stadium. Number 3, call out the bias, loud, relentless, unapologetic. You see double standards, call them out. You see WNBA social pages ignoring black MVPs while flooding timelines with white faces who haven't even earned their spot yet? Let them know, tag them. Flood the comment sections. Use your voice because silence is complicity. Number 4, shift the economy. Spend where your values are. I'm going to say that again. Spend where your values are. Support athletes who align with liberation. Cop that A'ja Wilson jersey. Support Angel Reese on her site. Buy from brands that back equity. And boycott those that pander to whiteness and silence. Let your dollar scream. Number 5, educate and organize. You've got the knowledge now. Don't sit on it. Host watch parties with real talk. Write op-eds. Do your own podcast. Bring young athletes into these conversations early. Teach them how systems work before they step on the court.
And let's be clear, this isn't about basketball. This is about every industry, every institution that uses black brilliance and black labor while pushing black voices into the shadows. This is about the long game of erasure. And we're not playing alone. The WNBA wants to enter these CBA negotiations hoping we're distracted, hoping we're divided. But now we're informed, we're unified, and we're watching with receipts, with voice, and with power. So to every listener out there, don't just tweet, don't just repost, mobilize, speak up, build community, educate someone, and get involved.
See, this ain't just about basketball. This is about power, about who controls the mic, who writes the narrative, and who gets to win. Not just on the scoreboard, but in the culture, in the legacy books, and in the minds of the people. So let's keep it all the way real. For black athletes, especially black women, this ain't entertainment. It's a battleground, a fight for visibility, for respect, for the right to be seen, heard, and honored without compromise. Now I'm passing the mic to you. Yeah, you, the ones tuned in, tapped in, and 10 toes down for the truth. Like, drop a comment, share this episode with your people, especially the ones still saying it's just sports. And look, we're not done, not even close. The next time we go live, don't come alone. Bring 10 people who need to hear what's really going on behind the scenes, because this ain't just a moment, it's a movement. We see y'all, we hear y'all, and we knocking back, and we're not backing down. We just gearing up. So go hit that subscribe button on every platform. Follow us on socials and stay locked in. We got more truth to drop, more myths to destroy, and way more fire to bring. This has been Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies, and my co-host, Political Lil, holding it down for BY's PoliSports Podcast. And this is PoliSports Tea Time. Let's keep pushing the convo forward, because sports ain't never just about the game. It's about the story they trying to sell and the ones we're reclaiming. Coming up next, we breaking down the collective bargaining agreement, basketball-related income, and what it really means for the players at the table in the next WNBA CBA. Plus, we dig into WNBA expansion, who's buying in, and how those entry fees get split. Until next time, this is Cess and Political Lil. We signing off from the Cess Talk Sports BY's PoliSports Tea Time Podcast. Stay woke, stay loud, stay in the game. Until next time, y'all, stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.